So over the past couple of months, I've sort of been becoming infatuated with gaming monitors and displays and stuff like that. Now, most of you guys know that next year, 2016, I am planning on building a brand new computer, a hardcore gaming computer. And the reason for me doing this is really because of the Mirror's Edge reboot. I want to be able to play that game in its highest possible settings and its full glory and experience it in the best possible format that I can. And there's sort of been this argument that's been coming out for, I believe, the past year or so since more of these monitors have been releasing. And that is the debate between ultra wide and ultra HD. Which one is better technically? Which do you prefer? Now, pretty much, we have the rise of 4K coming up. TVs are starting to become more affordable, and with 4K resolutions, and we're seeing, it's still going to take a while, but we still need a lot of applications to go and support 4K. We're still not at that point where it's become a real necessity to adopt one because it is the standard format. Most of us are still stuck at 1080p, and we're perfectly fine at 1080p because most of the software still supports 1080p as its main regular, resolution. Now, for gaming, however, the resolution is pretty much it is important because regardless of, whether or not your PC can handle it, or whether or not you think graphics are important or not, the resolution dictates how much you can see and how much detail can be rendered on the screen. Really with higher resolutions, you can also see more of the screen space because there's more pixel counts are being put into place, and also the scaling is also scaled a bit down to fit in that larger area. As well as it's the difference between being able to see a gate off in a distance, whether that's a gate or those are just two poles next to each other. It's a resolution is pretty important for those reasons. You can be shooting a person behind like some, like I said, like a gate or anything or something like that, and you'd be like, well, what the hell, and then it would just pop in the distance as you're going to it. But I've sort of been going through this in my head, and I've been thinking to myself, all right, I'm building a new computer. I'm going to be sinking about $2,500 into this computer when I really realistically count, okay, accessories and, it's displays, new keyboards, mouse, operating system, software. When it really comes down to it, it's like, all right, I'm probably going to be sinking around $2,500 to $3,000 in this computer. I am currently saving up to build it. My goal, again, my goal is to have it built roughly a month before the Mirror's Edge reboot release. So hopefully, when that comes out, I guess in spring 2016 is our rumored window. I'll have a nice, beastly, up-to-date current gaming PC to be able to play it in its full glory. But I can't really decide whether I want to go ultra wide or ultra HD. When it really comes down to it, I love the look of Ultra HD monitors and the fact that, you have a more cinematic viewing space that most, movies, the reason you see movies with the black bars on the top and bottom on your screen is because they're formatted for a 21:9 monitor or aspect ratio. And, it's like I really love that whole cinematic style of it, especially the brand new LG UC97, I believe it's called. That is a sexy ass display, 1440p, it's curved. I mean, I really, really like that display. At the same time, you go over to the Asus PB287Q, I believe it's called, and that 4K monitor is gorgeous. Everything's sharp, it's responsive, and it's like, I don't know what to do, that's sort of the issue I'm having. I'm like, all right, do I want sharper, more, when you really look at 4K content, and I never actually seen a game running in 4K native resolution before in my life, all right? But I've seen demonstrations of movies, I've seen demonstrations of, certain other, broadcasting events that are going on that they have at the store demos showing 4K in its glory, and it's gorgeous, So it's like, do I want the sharper image quality, or do I want a slightly sharper image quality, slightly less sharper image quality, but I get more screen space? That's really what it comes down to, is would you rather have more screen space on your computer? Would you rather have the most sharpest, most vivid display possible? I mean, 4K is not going to be an easy foot, to be honest. I mean, we still have so many we still have gaming hardware that hasn't really caught up to being able to output 4K at their highest settings at 60 frames per second. It takes, I believe it takes like a Titan. You need to have at least like a Titan to get those resolutions, and you also need the frame buffer to do it all. You need a high video RAM, and most people just use SLIs or Crossfire to run games native 4K at their highest possible settings and get around 60 frames per second or somewhat. And so, I mean, again, I have like roughly a year and a half, let's just say, roughly a year and a half, and technology is going to advance, a pretty, hopefully significant by then, to the point where we're going to have, a graphics card that can run 4K at 60 frames per second, at least an SLI version that would be powerful enough to push those visual effects and get that frame rate that you need. So, but I don't know, another thing you also have to dictate it, to put it into factor between which one, to go with, is that scaling. I went to Fry's earlier, Fry's Electronics, and I hate Fry's. They have the worst customer service possible. At least mine does. But I went to Fry's, and they had the ultra wide, for LG 34 UC97. The curved one. So they had that there, and they also had the Asus PB287Q. And I jumped on the ultra wide. I'm like, all right, this is really nice. I like this. It's, you get this wide viewing angle. It's curved. It's pretty cool. I jumped on the Asus, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's so tiny. And that's because the scaling issue is just, especially if you have Windows 7, everything is minuscule. It's really frustrating because it's like, geez, I just bought this awesome display, but the software hasn't caught up to the point where you can be like, oh wow, this is comfortable. I can play and I can read the text comfortably and stuff. Everything is so tiny because 4K is really like taking four 1080p displays side by side and squeezing them on a 28-inch monitor, and it's like everything's so tiny. I'm like, ugh. So I actually went into Windows 8, and thankfully it was running Windows 8, and I went into the settings and I bumped the scaling. I turned up I believe I maximized it to like 150 times, so it was much more readable, much more normal. I'm like, wow, now I can see. But seriously, I had to actually go into Windows 8 and make everything larger, like the text and everything, just to see it legibly, because everything was so tiny. And sure, you have the visual clarity of 4K. I mean, it's incredibly sharp, it's incredibly vivid, and you can see everything really well. Versus the LG ultra wide, which actually there's no scaling involved. So you also have to factor in that with the ultra wide monitors, they do have so there are some games that actually don't support the full ultra wide aspect. I believe modern games today, pretty much everything supports it, but there's still like a few handful of older games that actually don't support the ultra wide format. So you'll be playing those games either with black bars on the side, or you'll have to go into your monitor settings and force it to basically overscan it to the point where it would fill the entire screen. You guys remember the Order 1886 that came out last month? That game is actually formatted for a 21:9 monitor, and you can play it in full screen if you have a 21:9 monitor, which I don't at the time, But that's just it's just a debate that I'm going back and forth with. Should I go ultra wide or should I go ultra HD? I'm asking my parents and I'm asking my friends, and I'm giving them different situations, and I'm getting really mixed results on everything. I have a lot of my friends who say, dude, go ultra wide, and then I have some people saying like, I'd rather have the sharpness, 4K is awesome, and it's just I just really don't know what I want. I'm gonna have to go into, when the time comes, I'm gonna have to go into Fry's or Best Buy and say, listen, I'm interested in buying this display. Can we connect this up to a gaming computer? Because unfortunately, there's only one gaming computer at Fry's, and they have Far Cry 4 and Dying Light hooked up on running on it on a 1440p monitor. And for the 4K and ultra wide monitors, they actually don't have anything. They have a computer set up to it, but you can't go on the internet and you can't play any games on it. So I'm probably gonna have to go to Fry's and say, listen, I'm interested in buying this monitor. Is there a way we can connect it up to this gaming PC so I can play games with it? And it'll be like 3 hours of me staying at Fry's just to test out the gaming experience. Do I want ultra wide? Do I want ultra HD? Which one is better for me? So obviously, there's some other nooks and crannies I'm going to want to be implemented in the monitor itself. I want G-Sync. I want, and obviously, a really fast response time. No, probably 2 milliseconds at the most. And also the refresh rate, too. 4K monitors are still stuck at 60 hertz. So give it a year and a half, and I think we should see, more monitors starting to get higher refresh rates. I hope that ultra wide will eventually, but the thing is, you also have to factor in the panel type. Is that ultra wides use IPS panels, and IPS panels only support 60 hertz. They're slower, but you get the most visually beautiful images and more accurate color. Versus the TN panels, which I've been using the TN panels on my Asus. I think this is the I even forgot what this one's called. It's the 247QE, whatever that one is. It's 144 hertz, 1 millisecond. It's the ultra fast monitor, but the visuals on it are it's just 1080p, and it's a TN panel, and the colors on it are very. I mean, they're decent. They're not really that satisfying for me. I'm the person who likes a lot of vivid colors. And when I have my Asus set up to be calibrated through the settings and through everything, and I just wish there was some more color involved. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know whether you think I should go ultra wide in the future or ultra HD. Keep in mind, I know that there's some of you guys who are really knowledgeable about this. But I'm just wondering, I really like the curved displays. I think they could really do something excellent for computer monitors, and more so than TVs. I think the curved display works out better if you're using an ultra wide display though. So I really just don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys prefer, and I guess until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.